As we all know, for decades, the might of the US dollar has unrelentingly commanded and controlled global oil trades, giving America economic and geopolitical supremacy. However, newer data shows that dominance is rapidly declining, if not coming to an end. According to the IMF, in 2022, the US dollar accounted for just 59% of global foreign currency reserves, down from a peak of over 70% in the early 2000s. Meanwhile, the share of other major currencies like the euro and Chinese yuan has risen significantly. This trend is accelerating as nations grow frustrated with America's use of the dollar as a political weapon. In 2022 alone, Russia's oil exports in rubles surpassed those in dollars for the first time. Meanwhile, China and Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil importer and exporter, agreed to conduct a portion of their trade in yuan last year. All this symbolizes a cold decrease in America's influence, and the facts are clear. The petrodollar system that funded America's global dominance is crumbling faster than ever before. Chapter 1. The Dollarization Acceleration. As global trade dynamics evolve at an accelerating pace, we're seeing countries urgently take bold steps to drastically reduce over-reliance on the US dollar in international transactions. One such recent dramatic development is India's audacious move to pay for all crude oil imports from the UAE in rupees rather than dollars. This landmark, first-of-its-kind payment in its own currency by India breaks the long-standing sacrosanct tradition of oil trade being exclusively settled in dollars with seismic consequences. For India, this revolutionary change allows it to purchase oil at a significantly cheaper cost, since it no longer needs to convert rupees to more expensive dollars. It also turbocharges the use of the rupee in global trade with immense strategic implications. Experts warn this could set an explosive precedent for other countries to urgently explore similar direct currency settlements at scale. If successful, it would massively reduce global dollar demand worldwide and rapidly accelerate the tectonic shift away from dollar dominance with an irreversible impact on the trillion-dollar energy markets. Chapter 2. The Bold Playbook. So what's really driving India's bold strategic shift? New Delhi sees drastically reducing dangerous dollar dependence as absolutely crucial for macroeconomic stability and safeguarding monetary sovereignty in the long run. It wants to aggressively diversify trade settlements across multiple currencies and exponentially increase the impactful use of the rupee internationally. The upcoming high-stakes BRICS summit in South Africa will likely feature impassioned discussions on urgently addressing this dollarization issue with sweeping global implications. As the group represents over 40% of the world's population and total GDP, any jointly agreed statements on proactively diversifying trade away from the dollar could massively impact the current global financial order. We may see commitments to urgently increase the volume of trade settled in local currencies between members to shield from dollar shocks. Already, China and Russia have been settling significantly more energy trade in rubles and yuan in recent years, testing alternatives. If successful at scale, India's oil payment model could be lightning fast, replicated with other key partners worldwide. This would turbocharge the internationalization of the rupee with exponential force. Combined with China's aggressive digital yuan push and Russia's sanctions workarounds, it demonstrates the rapidly growing strategic demand from major powers for real alternatives to the dollar as a sole dominant global reserve currency to protect their economic sovereignty. Major powers clearly want far more optionality and flexibility in international trade to effectively shield from dollar volatility and sanctions risks that come with over-reliance on the US currency. Now, if you want to understand how the global financial system is changing as nations abandon the petrodollar for oil trades, then don't forget to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. The petrodollar's days are numbered, and a new era is approaching. Chapter 3. Saudi Arabia's next move. All eyes are now on whether Saudi Arabia may follow India's example. As the world's top oil exporter, any moves by Riyadh could significantly impact dollar demand. Experts say pricing even some of its Chinese or Russian oil sales in yuan rather than dollars would rattle markets. Geopolitical tensions and the growing economic partnership between China and Gulf states have increased speculation of such a move. Riyadh also wants to diversify its vast dollar reserves. While it remains closely aligned with U.S. foreign policy for now, its own national interests may drive a gradual diversification away from dollar dependence over the long run. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is carefully considering its options. On the one hand, weakening the U.S. dollar could harm its alliance with the United States. However, China is emerging as an increasingly important economic partner and political ally. Many analysts believe that if the yuan continues growing as a reserve currency, Saudi Arabia will have no choice but to reduce the dollar portion of its reserves. This would be a major shift with widespread ramifications for global trade and geopolitics. The decision will likely be a gradual one for Riyadh to make, but the balance of influences may be tipping toward greater cooperation with China. Chapter 4. The India-UAE Deal. Let's analyze the critical strategic aspects of the landmark India-UAE deal that is sending shockwaves. As one of India's most economically significant and vital energy-supplying trade partners, the UAE was an intentionally calculated choice. It has an enormous Indian expatriate population and views India as a massively important growing market. Allowing some core trade to bypass the dollar through direct rupee settlements provides both countries with a potent shield against the dollar's dangerously unpredictable volatility and high transaction costs. The UAE also clearly wants to rapidly grow its rupee reserves and digital payment infrastructure on an urgent basis to fully tap into the massive rising Indian demand. This helps the UAE strategically diversify its reserves away from over-reliance on the dollar with increased optionality. For India, it provides a huge boost to rupee liquidity in the critical UAE market and significantly eases ongoing severe payment issues for its businesses operating there. Both see their economic and political ties strengthening immeasurably from this groundbreaking move. In the medium term, currency risk remains somewhat mitigated since trade volumes are still growing to scale. But over the long run, as volumes surge exponentially, currency risk hedging strategies may need to evolve rapidly. Overall, though, the deal sends a clear message about both countries' bold strategic intent to meaningfully diversify entire trade linkages beyond just relying on the dollar and develop their local currency ecosystems with much greater force. Other Gulf states with extremely close strategic India ties will feel intense pressure to urgently follow suit. Chapter 5. The Domino Effect and Demand Power. As emerging economies increasingly flex their burgeoning economic muscles on the global stage, countries like China, India, and Saudi Arabia now collectively account for over 30% of the total world GDP and have amassed strategically significant dollar reserves and mammoth trade surpluses. As these powers take bold steps to proactively diversify their trade settlements across multiple currencies, it will massively reduce dangerous dollar dependency worldwide with unforeseen consequences. We may see exponentially more vital energy and other crucial commodity trade being priced and settled directly in local currencies between key trading powers like China, India, and the influential OPEC members. This seismic first move could trigger a domino effect, with smaller but still strategically important trading partners also urgently exploring direct currency settlement options to effectively bypass dangerous dollar volatility swings. China's accelerating digital yuan rollout and its growing economic and political clout across Asia and Africa may see it aggressively promote the option of direct currency trade with key partners like Indonesia, Malaysia, and influential Gulf states seeking alternatives. Meanwhile, Russia's sanctions workarounds and efforts to circumvent dollar dominance have clearly demonstrated the urgent strategic demand worldwide now for credible non-dollar mechanisms and options. With realistic alternatives emerging at scale, even major countries that once saw no choice may now feel empowered to take steps to diversify away from unsustainable over-reliance on just one globally dominant currency, the US dollar. The global trend towards multipolarity means that emerging powers will continue flexing their economic muscles to shape a more balanced international order. Countries want optionality to avoid overdependence on any single actor for strategic needs. This reduces one dominant power's ability to leverage economic tools for political goals. The dollar's grip is loosening. As its dominance slips away, global tensions will rise. Countries will take sides in the coming currency war. Alliances will form around the new powers, China with its digital yuan, and the EU with its economic bloc. Will the United States grow desperate as unchecked military spending potentially drains its coffers? With money and influence potentially on the line, will it stop at anything to try to retain control? Could covert operations and cyber attacks potentially target emerging currency hubs? But might these actions only accelerate the potential decline of the dollar? So many uncertainties ahead. How might events unfold from here? By the end of the decade, the map will be withdrawn. From the ashes of a dying dollar empire, a new global regime will emerge. But at what cost to humanity? And who will rule the new world currency? You'll have to stay tuned to find out.